Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
It's summertime, and the living should be easy. But there are a lot of us parents with young kids who are panicking right about now because we're not sure what we're going to do with our kids in the summer. We don't want to stick them in front of the TV for the next 3 months. We don't want them stuck in front of a screen. So many of them have been in front of screens for, since 2020 practically. And we may not have a lot of money to put them in expensive summer camps. So we want to talk about what can you do that's free or inexpensive and things that'll keep our kids engaged. Now, I have a problem with a lot of the recent school curriculum that would give kids summer homework because they really need to decompress. And instead of thinking, oh, well, kids will lose so much of their learning, so we're going to send them to math camp, or we're going to send them to science camp, or we're going to give them reading packets that they have to finish over the summer. I recently read, and that's recently as of yesterday, a story in the Washington Post that also talked about letting kids be a little bored this summer, that they can get out and touch grass, that they don't have to constantly be learning, because there's a point of learning that they'll get just by not having their whole time structured for them. But still, for working parents, you don't want your kid sitting around all day doing nothing. You might want to have some of those days, but use Ms. Google. That's the one thing I'm going to say. I think most parents are starting to panic if they don't have an idea of what they're going to be doing this summer while either they're working or, so they don't have time to send their kids to the park. Well, if you will Google free things for children over the summer, you're going to come up with a wide array of things that you can do that are free or inexpensive for your kids. Not just to keep them out of trouble or keep them off the phone or keep them away from bullies, but things that will engage them in a way that makes the next, let's say, 80, 90 days to be fun. And so we wanted to talk about that because not everybody has hundreds and thousands of dollars to put in a sleepaway camp or even a day camp. If you're food insecure, you may be worried about where your kid's meal is going to come from if they don't have some structure. Check out the YMCA, check out the library, check out some of these places. And because some of our children, too many of our children drown, check out places for your kids to learn how to swim. Ladies, what are some of the other things? Now, I looked at one it's called Mommy Poppins, and they have a wide array of things to do in Boston. But specific to where you are, there probably are many such websites also.
I mentioned to one of my pastor's wives what we were going to be talking about today. And she was just filled with information. One of the things that's really important, she said, was Jax for Kids. You go online and it's JAX, the number 4, kids. And actually, there was like a magazine. Well, this magazine comes out every month that tells you all the things that are happening in Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville, amazingly to me, when I went to look, as Cheryl said, there is Google free things for children for summer, specifically, and you will come up with a myriad of places, free places, things that are $5 or less, and discounts if you are a teacher, discounts if you are bringing more than one child. Regal Cinemas have 2 free days every week for movies. Granted, they're old movies or old cartoons, but it's free. And there are a number of summer camps that are available for kids that have different prices for different ages, different discounts for people who have a lot of children or may not have a high income. Things are made for them. Now, when my grandkids were here, my daughter in law, Mandy, found a lot of places. You know, there are parks that are available, and then there's always the beach. We did all those. There's the Hands-On Kids Museum that was right on beach, right near my own home, with all kinds of things that kids could do. It was $5 for the children. And then there was also, oh my goodness, this place that I had never heard of before, Tree Hill Nature Center. It's 7152 Lone Star Road in Jacksonville. This place is like a petting zoo. It's like trails where you can go, you can hike, you see animals and things along the way. The area is beautiful. You can bring your lunch. There's discounted prices for teachers. Of course, I was a teacher and a senior. And inside the museum, there were all kinds of animals that you could pet, and you could see all these little aquarium type animals. The one place we went to that was a lot of fun was called Pump It Up, and it's like this indoor bouncy house bunch of places where the kids were able to go. Special prices for families that have more than one child, and you have your birthday parties there or special events. There was also the summer camps that cover children from the age of 5 to 15. And like I said, they adjust the prices depending on how many kids you have and your personal income. What if you're a single parent and you have 4 kids? Well, you can't spend $20 per kid. That's way too much money. So they will adjust those prices for you. It's always good to call and find out. There are so many free things. You know, you have parks, you have picnic places where you can bring your own food, and there are bike trails that have lots of trees where you can be in the shade, because I'm one who does not care for heat. And so when I would take my grandchildren out, we would start out early in the day. And then at the hottest part of the day was usually their nap time. We'd have lunch, they take a nap. One of the fun things about the Hands-On Children's Museum, you could leave and come back on the same day. Even if you were gone for 2 or 3 hours, you could come back before they closed and resume your fun without having to pay another fee. Now they
Ooh, Barbara, you froze there.
Uh-oh. Well,
and
yes.
is, oh my goodness, there is like the Beaches Museum, the History Park, Jacksonville Jacks Fest, the Baldwin Trail. One of the things that really impressed me that I found out about, if you go to Jacksonville, the flip side of Florida, you will find out that the Ritz Theater and Museum, where it's only $6 for adults, $3 for seniors and children. And Eric and I went there for Juneteenth one summer, and they had tons of historical information and puppet shows for the kids, which I want to remind you that libraries all over offer story time, puppet shows. I did those things with my kids when I lived in Chicago. And there are a lot of things that are specifically non-technical ventures. They don't have cell phones. They don't allow laptops. They want to pull kids away from technology so that you have a chance to have fun with on hands action. They have, this was something I did not know, Jacksonville has the largest urban park system in the nation. They have bird watching on the Great Florida Bird Watching Trail at Huguenot Memorial Park. There are things that your kids can do that are free and inexpensive, things that they have not ever done before. Free things to do in Jacksonville with kids. Google that. You can go to the Coomer Museum of Art and Gardens. Up to 5 children. Say you have 5 kids, they adjust the price for you. And I went to the Coomer Museum with my husband for the Van Gogh immersion experience. And kids in these art places get a chance to do a lot of hands on art, especially at the Riverside Arts Market. It's free weekly throughout the year, rain or shine. They have exhibits, they have hands on activities for the children. This art festival is free. And you can go, of course, to the Jacksonville Zoo, special discounts for teachers and for seniors. The Museum of Contemporary Art is another special place. And all these places also have summer camps. They have special workshops for children with special needs and autism. There's just tons of stuff to do in Jacksonville. I wasn't aware of it because I don't have small children living at home. But when my grandkids came here, we found out there was tons of stuff for kids to do.
Oh, yes.
And there are a lot of things. And like I say, the library is a great place. Also, zoos are usually really inexpensive. A lot of them have free days. There are parks. There are water, the little water sprinkler things. We have that in my
Yes.
neighborhood where, bring a towel and the kids in the bathing suit and they can get wet up and, get nice and tired. Usually there's an ice cream man or ice cream truck parked nearby.
Or someone said,
So there's so many other things like that that you can do now, and we have to also realize that there are sometimes parents want to do these things, but they're working. And so we also have to remember that sometimes there are places like the day camps that are inexpensive or free, and that or enough so that you can drop your kids off. Sign your kids up, because a lot of times there are limited spaces. And what happens is that's why we're doing this show now. Now here in Boston, the kids aren't out of school yet. Barbara, the kids in Florida are already out, and Naima, I'm not even sure if the kids are out yet in Chicago. But a lot of times parents don't get around to thinking because they've got, they're trying to just get through the day. And so they're trying to think, okay, what are we going to do with the kids? And you don't think about it. And by the time you think about it, everything's already full up, and so you're thinking, okay, now what? Well, go on these websites and look for other things that, you, the mayor of the city or the city council or someone has some kind of programs. Maybe their jobs, if you've got teenagers that want to work, maybe you have, but you have kidlings and you want some place where it's going to be safe and they're going to be supervised. And like I said, you don't have hundreds and thousands of dollars to put them in a camp. Go online and look, and we've shown some of the things that are out there in our various cities. But even if you're not in Boston or Jacksonville or Chicago, you have something. If you have a place where there are children, there are going to be plenty of places. There's a Mommy Poppins, I think I told you, right? That, has all kinds of things for kids to do. Yeah, that's the website. And you can look, and people have researched this, is because at some point we all have that summer, oh no, what are we going to do for the summer? There's fun things, 100 free things to do it with kids in Boston, for one thing. And a lot of times we don't think about this when we're doing the day-to-day, but they have things weekly. They have free days at the museums, at the ICA, which is a art museum, or the Museum of Fine Arts. They have free days, and so you can bring your kids. Usually, it's like after 5 or after 4. We have a children's museum here, and children's museums are great if you can afford at any time to get a yearly subscription, do that. And then a lot of times when you go to other cities, they also will
Honor
use
those.
they will honor that subscription from another one. So that's a good thing to do. And I do admit it can be very expensive. It can be a few $100s, but it's a place that you want to go on a rainy day or a crappy day, or you just want the kids away from the television, and they can go and they can do all these fun things. And even when they're a little bit older, like 10, 11.
Yes. Uh-oh, I think she froze. Soon she thaws out, we'll continue on. But as you're saying, look at the screen and you can see where in Boston is the 100 things they have, and all of these things, you look at public places that you can tour, places that you can see. And Boston is a very historic site. I know me and Zakia, we always had a ball. We would come there every summer when she was little. And around the 4th of July, of course, they had the fireworks and all of that. That was a big deal.
Yes.
But Boston has so many historic sites, and it can really be an educational experience for children. If parents just use a little bit of imagination, they can make anything fun. I think we have the challenge of kind of helping our children get more into natural fun, and kind of pull them away from the artificial fun of just sitting in front of a screen. I mean, experience life. Don't just look at it on your iPad.
Yes.
Get out.
And then the opportunity to appreciate the history.
Yes,
There are so many historical places here in Jacksonville, like even at the Ritz Theater, where the famous writers of the song "Lift Every Voice," they have their whole story shown there. That is so good that you remember their names. I had to write them down. And they talked about, well, they had an actual puppet show. It was like these animated like mannequins that acted out their story, and very engaging. And then it engages the children in the audience to respond to them. Things are just so creatively done. And I think parents should be aware that these things are free and available year round, but particularly in the summer, you want your kids to be engaged in all these different festivals throughout the city that offer them a lot of hands-on activities away from, the media connection with some kind of device that eats up their time. And you want them to get away from that. You want them to have fun. You want them to enjoy their summer. You want to introduce them to reading. One of the things that was exciting about the library, and they do the same thing here, they will have these treasure chests of prizes for children who will come to story time, engage in the puppet shows and respond. But also at the Chicago Public Libraries, they give free passes to museums throughout the city. And you can have them for a week. You can visit any museum. You can get it from any library and go and visit all of these different places that are available, and they are free. Even the Art Institute of Chicago has a donation box. You can put in a dime, you can put in $1, but going there is essentially free.
Yes.
And this is the thing that I want to address too, is that a lot of times our children are more or less told that they do not belong in these spaces, that these are spaces for white people only. And we've even had incidents here in Boston where someone has said stuff to children. And of course, the museum, had to react instead of act on this person who said something to the school group. And we have to make sure, as parents, educators, caregivers, mentors, that we teach our children, our Black and brown children, that they belong in all of these spaces.
They belong
Those folks
everywhere.
pay taxes. like everybody else, and we belong in these spaces. Our people built these spaces a lot of times, from generations past. And we need to teach our children that they belong and they are part of these as citizens, or even if they're undocumented, they belong in these spaces. They have the right to them. They have the right to learn. They have the right to experience, and we can't keep making their world smaller. And I think there are so many things that are going on right now that tend to make our children smaller. We can't go to this place, or you can't go to that place, or that's just, and sometimes it is because of money that keeps us out of these spaces. So that's why I say look for those free places and enjoy them. Walk in the public gardens, go visit the Make Way for Ducklings, go visit, and I think the swan boats are very inexpensive. There are a lot of things. And like Naima said, walk the Freedom Trail if you can get your kids to walk. Um, that's a whole nother story. But have them, if you're in a city, how you probably don't do a lot of things unless someone comes to town. Like
Right. And then you do all the tourist things that you could have done all the time, but you don't do it.
I would have never gone on a whale watch if I hadn't had people come to me, or go on a duck boat. You know what? Take your kids on those touristy things. They have the historical aspect to their own city where they live, and it's actually a lot of fun. And I've done fun tourist things when my parents or my sisters or my friends from out of town have come, and taken them on tours of the city. When Sarah's friends have come, we've taken them on tours of the city. So look for those things to do with your kids, even if you live in Chicago and Boston and Jacksonville. Look for those touristy things. Look for the zoos. Yeah, zoos are zoos, but every place has a little bit different.
Yeah, here at the Jacksonville Zoo, you can feed the animals like the giraffe or some of the smaller animals. They have a petting zoo that's available. They have a jungle gym for kids to play in. It's quite amazing and engaging. And I wanted to point out that there is a book, I cannot remember the title of it, but there is a children's book that is talking about what you shared, Cheryl. It was like, I Belong Here Too. I don't think that's the title, but it was about that, where a young Black child wanted to go to the library and take out books and was being discouraged from other people trying to say, well, this is only for the white children in this neighborhood. And it's a really engaging book. I remember reading it as a substitute for the librarian. And the kids here in Jacksonville are extremely responsive. It is really great to be able to read stories to them that bring them aware of different disparities going on in their own city. And I wanted to also make a quick mention about watching out for the safety of your children when you take them to parks, beaches, public places. Don't let your child go into the bathroom by themselves in a public place. When my children were small, I remember going into the bathroom and there were two men in there, and I was quite infuriated, in which I chased them out. They were upset because there were no doors on the men's bathroom. I said, I don't care, get out of here. And so, and then even when my kids were older and did not want mom going into the bathroom with, an older son, I would have him talk to me while he was inside. I would stand by the door and he would talk to me the whole time so I could hear them. Because, your kids are there to have fun, but perverted people are there to try and molest children. So you need to be aware of the importance of making sure your children are safe, even when they're going to a fun place.
Yes. Yes, that is true. I remember when Sarah was little, obviously she always went places because I worked and Sean worked, and Sean would just take her into the men's room with him, and they would just go into a stall. So it was like, he was just, very cognizant. He would
Hectic.
never have let her even in a women's room where it's relatively safe, you would think. But just let her go in by herself because she was a little girl, and later on when she was old enough to go by herself, that was different. But yeah, be aware of where your kids are too. I mean, you could let them loose in some places, but keep an eye anyway, because keep your antenna up. Like I always
Yeah.
tell Sarah every time she goes out the door, keep your head on a swivel. Well, you keep your head on a swivel too, but don't get so paranoid that you don't allow them to do anything. But
Yeah.
just be aware that there are people out there who are also looking for children who are not being
Supervised by an adult.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Even if it's in the park, if your kid disappears, get up off your seat and where you've been comfortably like looking at a book or talking to another parent, and go and just check out and make sure they are. And maybe it's not an adult, maybe it's a kid who's being, an older kid who's bullying, the little ones, because that happens
Yeah.
too. So, we don't stop being parents, but we do allow them the chance to touch grass, because too many
Yeah.
of your kids, and if you're in a
Being with the
neighborhood where
grass.
you're afraid, of what's out there, get up, get on the bus and take them out of that neighborhood, because
Yes.
our world is bigger than our house, our apartment, our block, our neighborhoods, even our cities. And if we're
Yeah.
going to live in these cities, we
Yeah.
need to.
Because sometimes parents are afraid to let their kids ride their bike in their neighborhood if they
Yes,
live in a
yes,
place that isn't safe. Take them to one of those places where there are bike trails that
and
will
you can
give them
rent
an
bikes.
opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I want to address something that you said earlier about your children being made to feel that they're not welcome or they're not allowed. And there are a lot of children who grow up with that impression. If their parents never take them to nice places in the city where they live, they digest the idea that we're not allowed, because it's so
Right.
easy to get that impression if you are never taken to these places. So take your
Yeah.
child and your children and their friends, take your child and their friends, take them to some nice
Yeah.
places in the city. Let them walk through historic buildings. Let them feel the grandeur of whatever kind of historic monuments they have that you can just see and be in, or even hotels, because sometimes you can just go sit in a hotel lobby or eat a snack at a hotel restaurant. It doesn't cost much, but just let them feel the ambiance of being in a nice, elegant place, and to feel
Yeah.
like it's okay for them to be there. I remember the story about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which kind of motivated him, to lead the whole civil rights movement when his children wanted to go to Funtown. And they got there, and you all probably heard that story too. He got his children there to the gate, and they were told, no, colored children aren't allowed here. And his children were so disappointed. He felt so ashamed as a father that he couldn't take them. And that was one of the things that kind of lit a fire under him to fight
Yeah.
discrimination, because you don't want your
Exactly.
children to ever feel like they don't belong. This world belongs to everybody. So we
Yeah.
need early on to give our children the feeling of freedom, that they can go anywhere in the world. They need to feel that. They need to experience that. And another thing that you were saying, Cheryl, about and Barbara also, about the safety issue. When you take them to a park someplace, don't be all on your phone while they're doing something else. Engage with them, interact
Mhm.
with them, run in the grass with them, watch them, pay attention to what they're doing, be a part of their enjoyment. Do not take them someplace and then you go and do something else and you're not paying attention, and they're out in public where all kind of people are, because that's setting them up for anybody who doesn't have good intentions if they see that you're not paying attention.
That's
So
right.
get off your phone and engage your children when you take
Push
them
them
out.
on the swing.
Yeah.
Stand by them down the slide.
Yeah, slide
Help them on the monkey bar.
Yeah, swing on the swings also. I mean, have fun. Let it be a memorable experience that they have where you had a chance to be a little silly and have fun. Because those are memories that they'll carry forever. And people, you'd be surprised who's watching. You might inspire some parents who don't do that and don't get involved with their children and don't play with their children. I mean, oh, wow, that's really nice. And then they might do the same thing.
That's right.
Yes. So yeah, I think let's go. Well, just as you said, Google everything that you've heard, look up what free activities they are, and get involved with your
Yes.
children's fun, safe activities this summer.
Have a great summer.
Time.
Have a great time. Well, make sure you like and subscribe our Facebook page and YouTube channels and follow us and join us again next week. And until that time, I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl. Touch grass.
Touch grass.
And I'm Barbara. Hands on.
And we will see you next time on 3 Black Moms. Bye.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black Moms.